Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So in the 10th canto, 5th chapter, Vasudevji and Nanda Maharaj have a very heartfelt, extremely intimate meeting in Mathura. And towards the end of the conversation, Vasudevji indicates to Nanda Maharaj that he better go back to Gokul because he expects certain dangers to befall upon Gokul. Nanda Maharaj immediately returns back. And then at this point, Nanda Maharaj is thinking, Nanda pati vachah shaure mamrisheti vichintayan harim jagama sharanam utpatagama shankita. So here it is described, while Nanda Maharaj was on the way back, Nandah pati, on the way, vachah shaurehe, he started thinking about vachah, the words of Shaureh or Shauri, the brave one. Vasudev is repeatedly called in the 10th canto as Shauri, one who is brave. And as per the definition of Srimad Bhagavatam, brave is not one who accomplishes something or defeats an enemy or overcomes a threat. Brave is someone who doesn't give up hope even in the most hopeless circumstance. Mamrishe namrisheti vichintayan. And so that what Vasudev said could not be mrisha, could not be false. Vichintayan. He started contemplating because he knew that whatever Vasudev would speak would have some depth, some truth. Harim jagama sharanam. And therefore, there must have been some danger of disturbance in Gokul, and he thought about danger for Krishna. And so, Harim Jagama Sharanam. Immediately, he thought about the Supreme Lord, Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and took his shelter. Utpatagama Shankita. And he knew that such dangers can be avoided, or in such dangers one can remain under the shelter of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. In this material world where there is danger at every step, padam padam yat vipadam na tesham, we have no other recourse than to remember Krishna at every step. The purpose of this material world is to unleash destruction and forces of destruction upon us at every moment, so that we remain distracted from our real goal. And so ultimately, those who are recipients of Krishna's grace, they realize that the greatest danger in human form of life is not destruction of the body, but distraction of the mind. And they managed to remain focused and absorbed even in the midst of the greatest distractions. And so Nanda Maharaj was totally focused on Lord Hari. Kamsena prahita ghora putana balaghatini shishumschachara nignanti puragrama brajadishu. At this time, Kamsa had sent one very deadly demoness. What was her name? Kamsena prahita ghora, a deadly demoness sent by Kamsa, Putana. Her name was Putana. Balaghatini. She was actually sent by a demon Kamsa. She was a demoness herself. She was Ghora. She was very fierce. Balaghatini. She had a record of killing all children. Shishums chachara nignanti, and that too not kill adults, but she would kill children. Puragrama Brajadeshu, and she was roaming in various towns and villages of Vraja, searching for that boy who was born to Vasudev and Devaki. Thus we find that Shukadev Goswami is very dramatically bringing in the entry of Putana. And as we hear about Putana and how she was roaming around killing all the children, many of us may think, I am not getting affected. I am sitting in the comfort of my cozy apartment. I am sitting here enjoying this lecture. No problem at all. But the way Maharaj Pariksit was hearing the lecture, was hearing those words, was he was actually experiencing Krishna's presence. And as soon as Shukadeva Goswami said that Shishums Chachara Nignanti, Putana Balaghatani, the one who kills children, that Putana is roaming around in Braj searching for children to kill out of great anxiety for the welfare of Krishna. Parikshit Maharaj was in great torment. Let us now reflect on what is Maharaj Parikshit's condition. Parikshit Maharaj is himself cursed to die in 7 days and 7 nights. 10th canto has begun, which means that it is already almost the 4th day. 3 more days to go. An ex-king who is awaiting his death in 3 days, we would expect that person to be obsessed with his own destiny, with his own impending death, and have a million questions in his mind on how he can avoid that torment. No. The hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Parikshit, is revealing to us that the Srimad Bhagavatam is that medicine which is to be accepted when all the medicines of all the doctors of all the hospitals of this world fail. But the bad news is that you cannot just accept that medicine of Srimad Bhagavatam only at that last moment. The dosage of this medicine builds up every day, every moment, throughout our whole life. The action of the medicine of Srimad Bhagavatam becomes really potent when taken in regular doses on a daily basis. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. And therefore, when we regularly take the Srimad Bhagavatam's medicine, the anarthas are destroyed. And when that anarthas are destroyed, we lose our fear of physical destruction and develop fear of mental distraction. And so, Parikshit has no fear of physical destruction. He simply has fear of his mind getting distracted from the topic. And at that last moment when Takshak comes and bites him, he may not be able to remember Krishna. That is bothering him more so. He's bringing his mind again and again back. And although 3.5 to 4 days, he has not eaten a single grain, he has not drunk a single drop of any liquid or water, he has not slept a single moment, his mind is totally focused. And the proof is that at this moment, he feels the anxiety. Oh, what will happen if Putana finds Krishna and tries to kill Krishna? His mind is in anxiety. His eyes reflect that anxiety. And the flicker and the glimmer of fear in his eyes is caught by the ever sensitive, ever alert speaker, Shukadeva Goswami. And Shukadeva Goswami feels, oh, poor Parikshit, he loves Krishna so much. And when he hears that Krishna is going to be Krishna is being searched for by Putana, who is so deadly, so fierce. He is experiencing anxiety. Let me relieve his anxiety by speaking this verse. Nayatra shravanadini rakshoghnani swakarmasu kurvanti satvatam bhartur yatu dhanyasta tatrahi. This verse is spoken by Shukadeva Goswami to pacify Maharaj Parikshit's fear. He says, yes, Putana is deadly. Yes, Putana is ferocious. Yes, Putana must be a very deadly opponent and enemy to deal with. Putana is a bloodthirsty, blood-sucking Rakshasi. All these are true. And yes, there is danger for those who are going to be attacked by Putana. But Putana carries no danger for a certain group of people who follow this. Who are they? Nayatra shravanadini rakshoghnani swakarmasu. Those who are engaged in hearing and chanting the glories of Krishna, they are protected by the piety generated by the process of hearing and chanting the Srimad Bhagavatam and the holy names of Krishna. Rakshoghnani swakarmasu kurvanti satvatam bhartur. And therefore, Krishna is satvatam bhartur. Krishna is the protector of his devotees. He is the Swami or the Lord of his devotees. Yatu dhani chatatrahi. And therefore, although Putana was deadly, there is no danger for Gokul. And so wherever hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord takes place, a certain protection is created, certain insurance is created. And speaking like that, then he explains how Putana, who is a Rakshasi, she comes into Gokula, changing her clothes and taking the form of a beautiful gopi. She looks like the goddess of fortune. All the gopis develop faith in her. Mother Yashoda develops faith in her, and Mother Yashoda, she actually gives Krishna into the hand of Putana, dressed like a beautiful goddess of fortune, so that she could feed him. And ultimately, Mother Yashoda had only one desire: may Krishna be supremely blessed and nourished by everything auspicious. And therefore, as Putana, who had smeared her breasts with poison and only wanted to kill Krishna, took Krishna in her lap, she did not realize that she is placing a deadly cobra on her lap. She did not realize that she is placing a naked sword whom she is trying to deal with. And then Krishna on the lap of Putana was seen by Putana. And at that time, as soon as Putana started placing Krishna's mouth upon her breast, at that time Krishna closed his eyes. And it is described, Tam tikshna chittam avidivam cheshtitam vikshantara kosha parichadashivas varastriyam tat prabhavacha dharshite nirikshamane janani yatishtitam. And Putana's heart was fierce and cruel. She looked like a very affectionate mother, but she looked like a sharp sword in a sheath. And Yashoda and Rohini did not stop her. So therefore, at that point, Krishna closes his mouth. Why it is described? Here it is said. Why does Krishna close his eyes? So there are various reasons which the Acharyas give why Krishna closed his eyes. The first reason Krishna closed his eyes is because he felt that Putana represents ignorance. Second, Krishna closed his eyes because Krishna thought, I must not see a child killer like Putana with my eyes. Third, Krishna started thinking that I have to deliver Putana, but if someone is such a ferocious killer of children, on what grounds can I deliver her? But let me search for some of the piety from her past lives. So let me close my eyes and search for past accounts of piety. And that's why Krishna closed his eyes. Fourth, as Krishna started drinking that milk which was mixed with poison was extremely bitter. And that's the reason Krishna closed his eyes, because when we drink bitter Karela juice or neem juice, the eyes close. Fifth, Krishna started thinking that, oh, this is poison and I am drinking this poison. But actually, the department of poison drinking belongs to Shiva. So let me close my eyes. And after closing my eyes, let me meditate on Lord Shiva and connect with him and request him, some poison is here. Please perform your regular seva of drinking the poison. The sixth reason is Putana, when delivered, would go through either the path of the sun or the moon to attain liberation, as given in Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter. Finally, Krishna says, Naite sriti partha janan yogi muhyati kaschana tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhavarjuna. Naite sriti partha janan, that either way, through the path of the sun or the moon, a devotee gets delivered through either of the path. So therefore, Krishna was thinking, let me liberate Putana, send her to the spiritual world, and thinking like that, as he was preparing to liberate her, the sun and the moon, they started thinking, oh my God, such a deadly demon is going to be liberated. We will not allow her to go via the path of the sun. So the sun closed his eyes. The moon said, I will not allow her to go via my path. He also closed the eyes. So the sun and the moon both closed their eyes, thinking that if we close our eyes, the path of liberation through the sun and the moon path both are stopped, but Krishna had his own way. He still liberated. So therefore, the sun and the moon, they are the in charge of the eyelids, and therefore Krishna closed his eyes, so not to allow the soul to go. Seventh, Krishna realized you can understand others' power and intention by seeing into their eyes. Krishna did not want Putana to understand his power, and therefore Krishna kept his eyes closed. Eighth, Krishna closed his eyes because his regret was, the first demon I am going to kill, and that is going to be a woman. And so he closed his eyes. And he was thinking, why I have to do this? Ninth, Krishna thought that, okay, this is the complete pastime. And if I open my eyes, she will be, before even liberation, she may get transformed. Therefore, he kept his eyes closed. Then 10th reason it is given, Krishna kept his eyes closed because if he had kept his eyes open and Putana had seen this is Krishna, and she would have begun a fight right then and there, and in that fight Mother Yashoda may have been harmed, and therefore Krishna did not want Yashoda Mai to get harmed. And 11th, he did not want to scare Yashoda Mai through all of this, and in this way he wanted to protect her. So in this way, all of these reasons are given by the Acharyas as to why Krishna closed his eyes. And that is the power of Krishna Katha, that one pastime performed by Krishna thousands of years back still gets narrated and discussed. Sa muncha munchalamiti prabhashini Nishidyamana khila jiva marmani vivritya netre charanau bhujau muhau prasvinnagatra kshipadirurodaha. At this time, Krishna decided that, O Putana, I will not only drink your milk, but I will also drink away your life air. And Krishna started sucking Putana's life air. And as Putana's life air started departing, she was totally in pain. And she started shouting, Child, leave me, child, leave me. Sa muncha munchalamiti prabhashini nishpidyamana akhila jiva marmani. And at every point of her body, she was being pressed, and that pain was unbearable. And then she started telling Krishna, do not suck the milk any longer, do not suck the milk any longer. And then out of pain, suddenly she regained her entire original form. And then she had her huge arms and legs. As Putana screamed loudly and forcefully, it is described, the earth along with all the mountains and the planets, they all trembled ferociously. The lower and the higher planets started shaking uncontrollably, and people fell in all directions. And therefore, Putana was extremely aggrieved and pain, and she was crying and shouting, and ultimately, being attacked by Krishna, lost her life. Her mouth was wide open and spreading her arms, legs, and hair. In the form of her original Rakshasi, she fell down in the pasturing ground. And at this stage, it is described that she smashed the trees in all directions within 12 miles range. That was her size. And in this way, the description of her body is given in detail by Shukadeva Goswami. Then how the gopis come, and then they offer all kinds of prayers because they see Krishna sweetly playing on Putana's body, totally unharmed. But they realize that without the Supreme Lord Narayan not protecting Krishna, how can our son be safe? Eshava Shreyadhasyat Gopa Gokula Nandana Anena Sarva Durgani Yuyam Anjas Tarishyatha. Gargacharya had predicted that this boy is like Esha Narayana Sakshat Narayana Samohari Shriya Kirtyanubhavena. This boy is just like Narayana only, but still you should all protect him. And therefore, somehow or the other, the Gopas and the Gopis were always worried about how to protect Krishna. And so they started doing all kinds of auspicious rituals, washing Krishna with cow dung, cow urine, covering him with all kinds of wonderful cow products, and then doing the various swasti mantras and doing the various kavachas around Krishna. And at this point, Nanda Maharaj, he returned to Mathura, and on the way he saw this gigantic body of Putana lying dead. He started thinking. And then Nanda Maharaj and other Gopas exclaimed that, oh, that this Vasudeva has become a great astrologer, that he was able to see the future, that the different calamities are going to come upon Gokul. How could he predict to us? And therefore, the Brajavasis cut the body of Putana and then they burn it in different directions and covered with ashes. And in this way it is described, Putana loka balagni rakshasi rudhirasana jighamsayapi haraye stanam dattvapasadgatim kim punashraddhaya bhaktya krishnaya paramatmane yachan priyatamam kimnu raktastan mataro yatha. Very beautifully, this pastime is concluded by Srila Shukadeva Goswami. You see, Shukadeva Goswami was initially an impersonalist in this Leela, and then he wanted to just renounce everything and go away and then his father Srila Vyasadeva organized for some group of disciples to be dressed as woodcutters to come and chant various shlokas. So especially two shlokas they chanted. One was the beauty of Krishna through Barahapedam. The second was the shloka where Krishna, although so powerful, so attractive, delivers Putana and gives her position of mother in the spiritual world. When Shukadeva Goswami heard that verse, he got enchanted by this personality with such mercy and compassion. Kam va dayalum sharanam vrajema. Who can be more merciful than Krishna? Let me offer my heart and soul to him. And because Shukadeva Goswami's life was majorly impacted and touched by this Uddhavaji's verse given in the 3rd canto, but which highlights the Putana's deliverance pastime. So while speaking and narrating this pastime also, Shukadeva Goswami has a special emotions because this is the pastime which attracted him to Krishna as a person. Person means he must be attractive. Attractive means he must be compassionate, forgiving, tolerant. Without compassion, forgiveness and tolerance, one cannot experience super excellence in one's character. And therefore he says, Putana loka balagni. Putana was actually a lady who would kill children. Number 2, Rakshasi Rudhirasana. She was used to giving pain to others. Number 3, Rudhirashana, and she was a professional blood drinker. And then Jighamsaya api haraye, with the intention to kill Krishna, stanam dattva pasadgatim. So her intention was to kill Krishna, her action was to kill Krishna, but still Krishna gave her higher position. So the question is asked, did he make a mistake? Did he not know the background of Putana? Was there some kind of a discrepancy? Says no. Kim puna shraddhaya bhaktya bhaktaya krishnaya paramatmane. What to speak of the Supreme Lord Krishna, who, when worshipped and approached with shraddha, with faith, yachan priyatamam kimnu tad raktastan mataro yatha. If someone who came to kill Krishna was given position of mother in the spiritual world, what will happen to those who came and served Krishna with love? And therefore, this is the point which Shukadeva Goswami wants to emphasize. That before I begin the 10th canto description of Krishna killing the demons, I am not speaking these pastimes just to increase your joy of killing, of just hearing Krishna killing the demons. The purpose is, you see, whoever got killed by Krishna and delivered by Krishna, however unqualified they were given position in the spiritual world. They were given liberation by Krishna. And therefore, Shukadeva Goswami wants to make this point, that millions of lifetimes you have developed relationship with husband, wife, father, mother, brother, sister. There is no end to those relationships. But for once, if you develop and add in all those relationships, the primary, your relationship with Krishna, that will completely transform and change your entire life. Why? Because now you are beginning a new journey of a relationship with Krishna, and based on the relationship with Krishna, then all the other relationships become sublime. And therefore he says, Kim puna shraddhaya bhaktya prishnaya paramatmane. So here we find a very beautiful point, that if a lady who came to Krishna, who came to kill Krishna, was given position of mother, how much hope, how much intensity, how much purity of intention we should be carrying in our heart, that yes, we will also become recipients of Krishna's mercy. Padabhyam bhakta hridayastabhyam vandabhyam lokavanditaihi angam yasyah samakramya Bhagavan apitastanam. And as Krishna was lifted by Putana upon her lap, Krishna's lotus feet were touching Putana's body. Padabhyam bhakta hridayastabhyam, that lotus feet which is the cause, which is the object of meditation in the devotee's heart. Vandabhyam loka vanditaihi, that lotus feet which is the worshipable object for all the people of this world, including the demigods. Angam yasyaha samakramya, that particular lotus feet of Krishna pressed upon the sinful body of Putana. Bhagavan apitastanam, and he started accepting the offering of Putana, which was poisoned milk. And therefore, yatu dhanyapi sa swargam avapa jananim gatim Krishna bhuktastana kshira kim uggavo numatara. And this is the beautiful point, that although all of these various handicaps Putana had, but Yatu Dhani, this witches, this demoness, Apisa Swargam, was sent to the spiritual world to become the mother of Krishna. Yatu Dhani Apisa Swargam Avap Janani Gatim. She became Janani Gatim. She got Janani Gati. Krishna Bhuktastana Kshira. So he says, can you contemplate how much will those who are engaged in pure devotion in Braja, how much they will benefit? And therefore, Krishna Bhukta Kshiraha, Krishna has drunk all of this milk. Kim Ugavo Numataraha. And in this way, what is there for Krishna to give the cowherd boys and the other cowherd ladies, and along with that, the elderly Gopas and Gopis and the cows of Brajabhumi, Vrindavan. So this pastime is very important. Ya etat putana moksham krishnaya bhaktam adbhutam shunuya shraddhaya martyo govinde labhate ratim. Anyone who hears this pastime of Putana, Krishnasya bhakta Krishnasya bhaktam adbhutam, he will experience the adbhuta love for Krishna in this very life. And therefore it is described here. What does Putana represent? Etasyaham rajabhavanam sampattau pratibandhaka ashtadasha vidha santi shatrava priti dushkaraha. In this particular episode of 10th canto, first part, second part, third part, fourth part, till the 90th chapter, there are various demons represented. These demons are represented, these demons are representing one particular fault or anartha or more of them. And Thakur Bhakti Vinod in his Chaitanya Shikshamrita has established who are these different anarthas and what is their goal and what is their role. And therefore, here Putana represents what? Putana represents bogus guru. Sometimes we may accept a bogus internal guru who cheats, the mind who cheats us, and not accept any help from outside. The argument is that as a guru, one should learn the process of worship. When argument possesses nourishment for the jivas, the constitutional duties, Putana finally posing as a nurse. So therefore, we should remember that, the guru is supposed to lead and not cheat. And therefore, we should not get bewildered Because sometimes people say, I am just following spiritual life. Under whose guidance? I am my own guide. I find my own solution. I am so brilliant, I can figure out the way. So that is internal guru. We are becoming our own guru when we are not qualified, because we are not in touch with the subtleties of the Lord's reciprocation. Similarly, what is the external guru? External guru means a sat guru, a true guru. Kiba vipra kibanyasi shudra kiranoy jai Krishna tattva vetta say guru hoy. One who knows Krishna tattva. So therefore, he understands the science of the worship and learns. He knows the proper path of attainment, and he instructs the disciples according to their adhikar or qualification. So therefore, to know the various possible paths is like a doctor knowing 150 varieties of medicine available for curing this disease. But more importantly is the last point, that the guru will only give instructions and lessons to the disciple as per his qualification. If the disciple is not ready to hear very high subject matters, if someone has only passed second standard, he cannot be taught 11th standard mathematics. If one is in 11th standard, he cannot be taught PhD level mathematics. False gurus are those who do not bother about the adhikar or the level or the qualification of the disciple or the dependent, and they just speak the highest philosophy and the highest from their books because it gives them pleasure for their own entertainment. Therefore, real guru is not driven by self-entertainment. He is driven by selfless empathy for others. And therefore, it is very important for us to express this empathy towards others by actually helping them in their progress of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, let us be very careful that just like Putana came dressed like a beautiful goddess of fortune, and everybody in Braja thought this is our greatest fortune, there are many so-called gurus who claim to be speaking spiritual philosophy. But the first question we have to ask is, are you speaking from scripture? Number two, are you having a bona fide authentic line? Number three, what has been the source of your unbroken disciplic succession? Number four, how can you set up an entire science which connects the process with the actual practical application and experience? So these are various questions which one should have in mind to confront someone who claims to be a guru but does not have such qualifications. And therefore, we find that after this, we will be in a position to avoid being tempted by various prospects being given by various gurus and follow those who are actually leading us on the path of pure devotional service. And therefore, this particular pastime of Putana is very important, because we should not become impressed by the external dress, by the beauty, by any other kinds of talks, except the conclusions of the Bhagavad Gita must be the way Krishna has spoken in the Gita, and the conclusions of the Bhagavata must be as per those conclusions. So then we can actually be in a position to overcome the problem created by these so-called bogus gurus. Thank you very much.
RG Media YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe.